Okay, so now we've got our chassis pretty much together. What I have just done is just rubbed it a little bit over there, just sanded it slightly now those are glued on, just to make sure those little bits of photo etch are smooth on top. And for that I just used quite a soft sponge actually, and just rubbed it, just because I could feel some little, just where the little sprue gates were. So apart from that, that all seems fine, everything's all dried down there. So next part is onto part 10, which is to build up the top deck, which actually builds up in one, and then section 11 is actually just to put that all on in one single unit. So let's find what we're going to need for that first of all. Now, these larger pieces, looking at the instructions, that's literally just going to be got bonding on flat. No, that is odd. Okay, just checking the instructions with that, and that literally just bonds onto there. There's no location tabs or anything for that. So I'm getting a feeling that that might be good intentions, but in reality I think kind of building it and doing it as part 10 and 11, where I build up, put them together as they go on and glue it all in place in one hit, is going to make sure that all goes together and is square as it goes down. Now this one has got a little channel for that to go in. There's location tabs on there. I'll run the glue down on the inside part first, just blobbing that on there pretty much, just so it all gets drawn in with a capillary action, and then just neaten it up again just on the outside join. And actually, although you have got quite a large, it looks, you know, initially a large seam line to where that's just come on there. In reality, there is actually on that side where there's the plate as well, there's a line running down, and this would have just been, you know, two slabs of iron just welded onto each other. So you've got that side part on there. Now I would have to double make sure that I do get these the right way around, because again there's no, I don't think there's any location sort of bits on there. I'm getting a feeling, let's put this in place and actually build it up on the model. So that one is probably going to sit there. That one will sit there. Okay, now at that end, yeah, this would definitely be easier to, to basically build it up and put it on as I go. Yeah, you've got the location there. There's little channels on there. Raised parts that are just going to sit in there. So it does seem a little bit odd to try to build that up. Hold all of that, literally just let it dry in place, and then carefully try to get it all lined up. That's yeah, a bit good. Yeah, good luck to that one. So just down, I'll just run a quick bead of that. I mean, that's pretty much drying as soon as I can get it on there. I'll just start to help soften it a little. I think it already dried off. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to be doing this out of order, but I have noticed that as that goes on, that is covering up those side parts that I put on, those vents earlier. Oh, I thought there was a bit of a gap there. It literally, you heard it, that clicked in. What I think I should have done was probably put a bit of the contact adhesive on some of those inside parts first, just to give it that initial go. Doesn't make too much difference, but more just that belt and braces. Okay, so that's that on. But what I just want to check is here we've got those grills, and I remember at the time, so I was saying about how fine they were, and they will be kind of visible when that goes on. I'm wondering whether I should, before putting that one in place, should maybe just try to paint those grills, then put a bit of masking tape on them. But then how would I get the masking tape off, because that's going to be so fine. Actually, I think we're just going to have to remember that there's these little fine grills in there, and then it's going to just be a case of when painting it afterwards, just getting in there with a little bit of wash, just to let the wash actually highlight the grills on there. I don't think I'm going to be able to really get to it otherwise, unless we sort of paint it now, then put that on and just mask the slot up completely. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay, so before I put that on, let's see if I can get this in place. Yeah, that will sort of clip in. Where this is going to be covered up on the sides, so just try to come in here, just at this angle. It's probably not the best camera shot and a bit far away and a bit grainy, but I'll give you an idea. So this part here, just to point, is going to be covered, or mostly covered. We've got a grill there, and there's sort of space to vent out there. Now what we want to do is to paint the inside, a bit like we've done with the wheels there, then paint that metallic, that grille, then do the basically any sort of dry brushing on there to make it metallic looking. So we've got a grille, then glue that into place, and then mask up that little slot, the air vent slot in there where the air would actually come out, so that then when we paint it, we're not going to be spraying in there and spraying over what we've just done. So that really means the first thing we need to do is just put a little bit of our Olive Drab just on those side parts there. So I've popped a little bit of Olive Drab just in the airbrush, so we'll just do the inside of these vent parts, just because we're going to be masking them, just to make sure. Actually, without a primer, it's not going down too great. I forgot about that. Making sure we're just doing the inside surfaces. Ooh, making sure we're just doing the inside surfaces on them. It's going to make it a bit easier to when we come to. Oh, there's a few ejection marks on there, but that's fine. When you come mask up, we can be a little bit more liberal with the masking on there. Just making sure those little support sections, those support veins, fine. And I think that's dry. Let's take that out. Yeah, that's now hold of that. So that it was just this bit here where this part was just bowing down. It wasn't flat, it had a bow to it. So I'm just going to run just along that bit where there's that vent. So just along there, we're just going to put a bit of this green in, because you're going to be able to see through almost the little letterbox part of it. And once this is dry, we'll just paint up that vent. Probably put a bit of gunmetal, or just actually, to be honest, I think just dry brush with a metallic, just to pull out the some of that detail on the vent parts themselves. Those two parts, one on each side, and then maybe just apply a bit of a wash, a little pin wash on there. Now that we've got some of the olive drab down on there, that's dried off. I've got to say it's not actually gone down too well, and it's definitely quite patchy. Without having a primer on there, the MRP paint's not really adhering very well to the plastic. It is taking a couple of goes on it, but that's fine for this part. We did actually find that doing the inside of those bits as well. So I just want to try to highlight those bits now. So to do that, just taking a little bit of the which is this one, Mr. Hobby. This is Mr. Colour number 8, which is the silver. Got a bit on the brush and then just wiping it off, and then just getting a bit on just on a piece of paper towel. And now, actually, it's probably, I don't think the bristles for this brush, it's a bit too soft for this, but we'll give it a go. And now just want to flick that backwards and forwards over the grill. That is working slowly. Take a little bit more of that. So I'll just do one side. Hopefully, I'm trying to do it lightly and not just go lengthways, but like not really able to do it too much up and down. Sort of circular. Yeah, the bristles on this brush are too soft to really get the effect I'm going for, but hopefully you can see that is more metallic than that side, which is just quite plain. Actually, I've got to say the reflection of the light behind me is probably making it a lot more silver colour on the screen than it actually is. It's just coming off those highlights, probably because I'm dry brushing such a large area. So we'll repeat on the other side. What we're really doing is trying to highlight these raised bits on this grill. Again, that's starting to, as you can see, look a bit more metallic. There we go. That's, you can see, just to comparison to the area there which had the paint but not the dry brushing on a raised grill area. That you can see how that's now sort of standing out a bit more, which should hopefully mean that when we put on these side parts, just stay there for a second, take one of these, and is that the one? That is the one that goes on this side. We can pop that on. Well, that should mean that then looking through that little slot, you can see the grill. You can actually sort of make out there, through there and through there, there's the lighter bit, but that bit just above my little fingernail is just the plain colour. And yeah, we can see we've got that showing a bit more it does look a bit more metallic in there. In fact, what we might do is, before I actually put those side bits on, just to help pull it out a little bit more, I will grab, there we are, some of this Tamiya panel line accent. This is the brown, but I'm going to drop this, I say drop it, put a few little spots of it, basically painting over. So hopefully this will then go into the recesses of the grille, but leave the top parts. Effectively, what I'm going to try to do, because it's so fine, unlike where you just put a little dab of it on a panel line and let the capillary action take it around, I'm pretty much going to have to paint it over the entire grille and then wipe off. Again, on that side, I'm really probably putting far too much on. So let that just sit in. I'm going to have to make sure I do be careful with that, because when I put the primer down, make sure that I clean that off. Just the paint might not go over that too well. But now I just hopefully rub that off. I'm hoping that kind of leaves it in the recessed parts of the grille, but hopefully wipes it off of the higher parts, which have just been receiving the dry brushing process. I'll just take a little bit. So now it's not looking as metallic and shiny as what it was. So it's just taking the edge off that. I might still just give it one more quick go over. I think that should do that. So we'll just try to bring it a little bit more on that top part. Those raised parts. So now once that will go on, what you can do in just a moment, that grill area in there. Okay. Yeah, I'll let that dry up before I start getting a filler in there. But yeah, catch the lights in just the right angle, and those, I wouldn't say they jump out, but there is definitely a difference. You can just catch it in there. You can see which parts of the grill and which parts aren't. So that will slot under there. And actually that's quite nice. I did think there was a bit of gap going on around there. You could just sort of make out around this bit. I was thinking that's not fitting too well, and I have tried to put it in, and I thought what I'll do is at some point stick a bit of filler in there. However, that looks like that was meant to be there, because that makes a nice little channel for that little mudguard bit to slot into. I have noticed as well that like under here, got the little direct ejector pin. So you could just make out a circle just in there. There's a little hatch here we can have in the open or closed position. I'm not quite sure why you'd have that in the open position, because you'd be able to look in there and see that there's absolutely nothing in there. And unfortunately, the way that this is with that sort of thing there's not really an interior to it, or much space that you would actually be able to scratch build anything. Now, before I put this on, of course, we need to put the photo etch on. Before I put the photo etch on, I need to paint in that little section where the photo etch goes. What I would do is I will use another metallic, not that one, but the dark iron one, because that's going to be the exhaust. And I think I can put it in there, and then so paint it the metallic colour. What's quite nice for that one is you can rub it and it really does look like sort of like cast iron, which is pretty much bang on what we're going to be looking for the exhaust ports. Put a little drop of that on each of those larger surfaces, the larger area belts. So I don't know if that's really going to make much difference. Just drop in there, try not to bang that delicate photo etch. Click, that wasn't a nice click sound. And then I'll just run along the length of that join. I'm going to grab the upper metallic whilst I'm here, which is the Mr. Metal Colour Dark Iron 124. That's that one. And I'm just going to use the brush that I was just using. Yeah, it is a metallic. So use from that metallic, both from the Mr. Hobby metallic range, and just paint that in there. Now it looks black, which pretty much is, but it's the dark iron. I'll take a bit directly out. Getting it all in where those exhaust pipes are. Getting it into the corners. Right, we'll give that a bit of time to dry off now. When that's dried off, we should actually be able to then just pretty much rub it. I'm also going to take that piece of photo etch and actually just paint that as well with it. So I'll just take the excess off the brush. We should. Now it's a bit tricky to get in there. Give it a rub. And that's effectively doing what I was doing just with the paper towel. So it's now no longer sort of black. You can see it's again catching the light. It's got a metallic sheen, a shine to it. Perfect. Put that in there. Just rub it along. It's probably going to be more shiny than what it actually would in the prototype be, but by the time that covers on there, that covers the grill goes on there, there's not going to be much light being able to get in there. So actually, that has got a bit more of a shine to it. That shouldn't hurt. At least it will actually make it a bit more visible. So that's definitely looking a lot more shiny and metallic than what it was. Again, on the camera's picking up when it hits the lights. So it's not actually quite as bright as what it is, but you kind of get the idea from there. Hopefully that glue is just catching the lights. So see, we've got a thin bead of that just running around the circumference of that recessed part. Check that, that was the way. It doesn't make too much difference which way's up, but I did notice there's sort of where the fixings are, there's some little circular bits, and they did actually look like it did actually have some bits engraved in. That's good. I didn't want too much glue on because I don't want to start trying to fill up it to splurge and start filling up. There we are. So now we've got that grill. You can just make out, you can see how it's just occasionally reflecting in. So although the grill's over, when the light goes right, you can just see some of the detail, the exhaust ports that are in there.